It's exactly what you want it to smell like. Here it is, the man behind that man, and those incentives. You also got a book here, Lives Per Gallon. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Tamminen. Nice to see you, man. So, I guess, you know, my first question to you is, how the hell do you get a Republican governor elected in the state of California now?
Well, you know, it's exactly as you said. He's the greenest governor in the history of the state. I would even argue in the history of our country. Comes from a very sincere place. He grew up in post-war Austria and devastated cities, and his family would send him to the mountains in the summertime, so he got a great appreciation of the outdoors and the natural environment. And when he came to California, he was stunned to find out that it wasn't just beautiful beaches and wonderful mountains, but air pollution and water pollution. And so now as governor, he's fighting to change that. Did
you have to work hard to make it relevant to him in this position that he holds?
Not at all, because like I said, it came from a very real place from his childhood all the way through his adult life, and now he's in a position to actually do something about it. And as governor, he is, in fact, and I have something for you to demonstrate this.
It's not a vote for Arnie shirt, is it?
He is, in fact, the governor.
Oh, for the love of God.
There you go. And this is for you. Wear it proudly.
This guy completely embraces this part of his career, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And, you know, I have another T-shirt that I love to give out that says, "My governor can kick your governor's ass."
Ah.
But since you have premiers here, it's a little hard for that shirt to work. But the governor is the terminator of pollution.
Wait a second. Schwarzenegger thinks he could kick Jesse the Body Ventura's ass, the former governor?
Oh, have you seen Jesse lately?
What did... Well, they were buddies in Predator, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. But remember which one survived in that movie, just to be clear.
It was an ugly... Well, who was the top billing?
Yes, well...
Does Schwarzenegger look in terms of legacy? Because he, you know, he got a rough ride, certainly in the very beginning. Is this environment thing going to be his legacy?
I think it is because, you know, things like the education policy, we have a $55 billion a year education system in California. It's very hard to change that and improve it overnight. You know, you work on it, but it's very, very difficult. But the environment, you can make huge strides quickly. With a stroke of a pen, he preserved 25 million acres in our Sierra Nevada mountains. He created the hydrogen highway. We already have 30 stations pumping hydrogen in California to hundreds of vehicles with the fuel of the future. We created the Ocean Protection Act and now vast ocean parks. All of this remains to be done, and of course the work on greenhouse gases.
It's one thing to be a thinker and have conversations about this, but you're known as being an implementer, like you get stuff done. How do you do that in this discussion? Because I can't imagine Arnold says, "Hey, let's do this," and everybody went, "Okay, sure, whatever."
Well, the first thing was when he was a candidate in the recall election in 2003, we crafted his environmental action plan, which was very unusual for a candidate for office because it was very detailed and specific and broad. And when he got elected, I kind of laughed, and I went into his office the day after the election, and I said, "So, Arnold, you know, I don't know if you have any idea what you've bitten off here now that you're governor, but at least you have a great environmental action plan to execute." And he said, "No, I don't. You do."
Did he say it like that? Because I really want him to.
Absolutely, he did. And it was truly the first moment that I thought I would have to go up to Sacramento with him. But because we had that blueprint, that's how it is. And I actually think it's a great example for other politicians. Lay out what you want to do. Make it very clear to people, because then it's amazing how many people come out to help you get it done. Success has many parents, and failure is an orphan. And in fact, I think Arnold would be the first to tell you that it's been many, many people that have helped us succeed in all these things, whether it's greenhouse gases or parks or air quality or water quality.
Is the difference a year and a half ago to now?
Well, you know, a lot of that was just about the special election, which even Arnold admitted was a mistake. But during those first 3 years, we were going ahead and doing a lot of those things I mentioned before for the environment, protecting land and water and air, and setting up the hydrogen highway and preparing the greenhouse gas initiative, and really differentiating ourselves, I'd say, from our federal government, which unfortunately has been asleep at the switch on all of this.
Well, I remember when the current president's father was the president, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was in a million photo ops and was really helpful with George H.W. Bush.
Sure.
And I wondered if any of Arnold's accomplishments or whatever, his plan in California, would have any weight now with the current president.
Well, you know, I think it does, and you might be surprised, actually, knowing that I was coming on your show, the most popular show in Canada.
Hell yeah.
And everybody watches it. Everybody, you know, if you're like me, you watch it on the web at night. Well, knowing that, President Bush felt obliged to have an answer on climate change, and so he called and he gave me these notes about the top several things he's going to do to solve global warming, and I might just tick them off for you here. He gave me top 10, but I'll just give you the top 3.
Okay.
Number 3, change the power supply of Dick Cheney's pacemaker from coal to nuke.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you think he's not serious. Number 2, invade Silicon Valley to secure a supply of solar panels. And the #1 thing George Bush will do to solve global warming? Wait 2 years. President Al Gore will fix it.
Oh!
So here's the evidence.
I really respect a guest who does his own material. I think that's fantastic. I interviewed Al Gore last year on his press run for An Inconvenient Truth, and I asked him, I think 3 times in 10 minutes if he was going to run again, and he said no, 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 and I still don't believe him. People look at Al. You know, it was Tim Flannery's book, The Weathermakers. It's Al Gore's film. It's a bunch of other things happening locally. I think that has really made this the issue that it is. Is that door closed, do you think? Because Al Gore seems like he'd have a relatively easy time.
Well, I don't know if it would be easy, because obviously I think a lot of people would come out of the woodwork and start sniping, and I think the partisanship that occurred in the last election that he was involved in still lingers, and you sort of lose half the population right off the bat, even as you perhaps energize the other half. I think he's got a great job to do right now in telling the global warming story, but also now in moving beyond what his movie did, which was explain the problem and move to the solutions. Because that's what we're working on in California. That's what I'm going around now talking to other governors and premiers here in Canada
about. With Gordon Campbell in British Columbia. Also, you're talking to Dalton McGuinty in Ontario, and Gary Doer as well, I believe.
Sure, yeah.
What are you doing? What's going on with that?
All great leaders. I have to tell you, the work is getting done at the state and the provincial level. And it's appropriate because, you know, a lot of greenhouse gases come from cars, and that's something that can drive across state or provincial lines. That's appropriate for our federal governments to try to reduce greenhouse gases from cars, make them more fuel efficient. But when it comes to the other greenhouse gases from our electricity generators, from our homes, from landfills, from industries, that's all very local and regional. And so it's appropriate for state and regional governments to get together and solve that.
How do you assess the Canadian federal government's environmental plan?
Well, it's kind of like the American one. It's just not there yet. And so the great work, I think, is being done at the provincial level and at the state level.
Nice to see you, Terry. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.